We're going on an adventure.
Hello and welcome back to the Zero Strategy Podcast. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Unholy Cyber.
What's up, bitches?
We have Grog Mode.
Hello.
And we've got Medibot Eve.
Hello.
So we got things to talk about today. We got a lot to go through. First of all, Cyber, how has your week been? What have you been up to?
I streamed twice this week, so get the fuck off my back, right?
That's like some sort of new record for you.
So just get off my back. I can't even. Somehow muted myself.
You interrupted your own dialogue.
You can see how my week has fucking been. Everything broke at one point as well. I'm gonna need to speak to you, Grog, because every time that I do a stinger transition, I drop like a bazillion frames.
I pray that I can help.
Yes, I'm okay. My wife.
My wife.
My
I'll let you-
Wife.
High five. Oh, son of a bitch. You're divorced. Get out of my life.
Hold on, were you stationary and she missed a high five while you're not moving?
No, she did it on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
She went for the whole thing where you do the handshake and then you go.
She went,
"Ooh."
eh! Obviously, you couldn't see it off. But apart from that, no, that's it. Getting very drunk since I only have 5 more days working.
Ugh,
I can't fucking wait.
I'm jealous.
Is this because you can't fly with like a bottle containing over a certain amount of ounces of liquid? Are you just trying to make sure that all the alcohol is gone before you move?
Oh, no, because you can buy it in duty free and then take it on the plane.
Yeah.
Right? If any flight attendant tells me you're not allowed to drink what I've bought,
He's just
Not gonna go
building
well.
up more
it's not
tolerance.
gonna go well.
So he can drink more on the plane.
I mean, I can't build anymore.
If you try to stop me from drinking, this plane will go down.
When
I
when
don't
you
think they'll
start,
appreciate jokes like that.
you
Where's
never
your
know.
Sky Marshal at? I need to tell them to their face.
Literally, when you start day drinking as an adult, that's when you know tolerance isn't really an issue anymore.
I mean, there's other things that should come up in the conversation at that point, with your friends and family about, how you're doing, where you're at.
No.
But
I mean, Mary drinks with me, so I've got a friend at least.
At least. Okay. Grog, how about yourself? What have you been up to, man?
I'm pretty good. I've been playing a lot of the usual stuff. Lauren and I finished Song of Horror yesterday, and it was fucking outstanding. The finish, like the ending of it, was great. I love the game. Again, I would say for anyone who enjoys Resident Evil style puzzle and exploration games, but in this case without combat, definitely check it out. It's also kind of like a roguelike where you've got anywhere between 4 to 5 characters to finish any given chapter of the game, and if you burn through all of those characters, you have to start it over. So it definitely encourages you to play slowly, conservatively, safely. If you don't listen at a door before you go through, there could be something really fucked up on the other side, and then it's just game over. But the story was great. I loved it. It's like a 5.5 part chapter. So think like the Walking Dead series where you play through chunks of the game. And so they move through it like like little mini story arcs. That's like part of a larger story. So I really enjoyed that. And then recently, thanks to Lidl and to Senpai Cessation, I started playing No Man's Sky again. That game, I'm so glad that they drew me back in, because it's a great way to just kind of tune out. And I thought Rocket League was like a fun de-stressor where I wouldn't have to really I don't know, overthink things or overly invest if I had a day of playing Apex or Warzone or something really competitive, because I love competitive games.
So you go to Rocket League to de-stress.
Yeah.
I am the complete opposite. I go
Yeah.
there to get mad.
Well, but I found that it's definitely on a lower tier of pressure in terms of competitive pressure, or at least for me. But then No Man's Sky is just so refreshing because it's a move at your own pace. There is somebody who, friend of the channel, Vil Grohik, retweeted someone on Twitter, and their question was, for you to get $1 million, like no strings attached, you would have to live in the game that you last played for a full year. Like, could you survive in the last game you played for a full year, and would you do it? And I thought about it, and like the last game that I played was No Man's Sky, and I was like, yeah, I actually could do that, because there's plenty of things that will kill you, and there's plenty of like real danger in the game, but it's like the danger is like at the pace you want. So if it's a really fucked up planet, I don't have to stay on a planet that's like classified as a frozen hell with like tornadoes, hurricanes, and giant monsters that will eat me. I could literally just hop on my ship and go over to the next planet that's like listed as like ideal paradise, and it's just like fruit hanging everywhere, and I could just like, you know, make a little wooden shack and just live by a lake. Like, it's kind of the danger is what you make it, and I really enjoy that.
I don't know though, Grog. I've played that game in VR, and flying those ships in VR is not as easy as it looks. The very first time I was in VR, I flew into one of those ships, accidentally took off, and then just kept doing loop-de-loops. I couldn't stop. There's nothing I could do. I was just stuck doing loop-de-loops for like 10 minutes, screaming because I thought I was going to crash.
I'm just imagine a year of that in game. But yeah, no,
you're fine.
Things are good. Yeah, I've just been playing more Apex, and No Man's Sky has been like something really fun to do off stream, but I think I might do it a little on stream, because it's one of those games where I looked up and I was like, oh, 6 hours have passed by. I thought it was 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I've just had that much fun with it, as you have, Condi, with like Valheim.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly the same thing, for sure. Eve, what about you? What have you been up to?
I got addicted to Final Fantasy.
Good.
I heard, yes.
I started playing it like late last week, I think, and I've already gotten like 28 hours into it. So,
What class did you decide to go?
Conjurer.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
You gonna like go down the healer main kind of route?
Yep. And I've already got almost all the other classes unlocked. I've got my botanist to level 40, which is higher than anything else. I got real distracted getting plants. But yeah. And I finally got my capture card set up again, which is pretty nice. So I was able to play Pokemon Snap on stream yesterday.
Wait,
because last
did that
week
come out?
No. It comes out. The new one comes out next week.
All right, okay.
Gotcha.
Friday. This Friday. But yeah, I was gonna play Pokemon Snap to be like, oh yeah, let's prepare for the new one coming out. And I did that last week, and I played an emulator for it because I just was too lazy to get my N64 set up. It sucked so much ass. It was so bad. It was such a bad emulator. Like half the functions wouldn't even work. Like to trigger the event to get Mew, that function didn't work, so you couldn't even complete the game on it. And there were just weird giant black pixels everywhere. So we played it on the real hardware, and it was a lot better.
I need to work out how to get my capture cards set up again, because since I moved to the dual PC, I haven't streamed anything from console. And I've got like another capture card. I just haven't actually sat down and plugged it all in yet to make it all work. But Eve and I were going to be doing our little head-to-head thing, which I think might have to be the week after next now, because I'm doing tons of overtime next week for work. But I want to do a Pokemon battle.
You're just scared.
Switch. No, as one of our events, we're going to have a Pokemon battle on Switch. So I need to get my Switch.
I think I've got an advantage.
Yeah?
Because my Pokemon are bad bitches.
Okay.
Obviously, yours aren't. Did you beat the game yet?
Say again?
Did you beat the game yet?
Yeah, I just didn't do any of the DLC yet.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, me neither.
But we'll get into it.
I was excited for it, and then I was like, never mind.
It's pretty good. No spoilers. It's pretty good for what it is.
Can I ask all of you a question? And this was kind of born out of the stream that Lauren and I did yesterday, but just hypothetically, how invested would you be in a Pikachu detective movie where it's like with the backdrop of Sin City? So like he's just like, I'm Pikachu.
Only if it's
and
voiced
you're
by
gonna
Danny
talk.
DeVito.
What's that?
Only if it's voiced by Danny DeVito.
Oh yeah, I'd be fine with that.
So
Yeah, Danny DeVito as Pikachu. Forget Ryan Reynolds, but the voice of. Or what if it's Danny DeVito in like
In a
in
Pikachu
like a,
costume.
in a
Just in,
Pikachu
like,
costume, you just see
practical
Danny
effects.
DeVito's face, like where the
So
like a
it's like
fall
ev-
guy,
He's got face
like a
paint
fall guy,
on.
like where the mouth would be is Danny DeVito's face.
I can't get behind
He's
this.
just got the little
Eh.
red circles painted on.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, but it's like gritty Sin City style,
Yeah.
like a hard-boiled noir detective film.
So it's like black and white, but there's just like the red on his cheeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, like a hint of color.
You
I'm
guys are
into
way
it.
too enthusiastic for that. No.
Let's get a Kickstarter
No.
going. Danny's view can't be that
I'm kind of
expensive.
disgusted that you aren't.
Well, Sin City is either violence or sexual content, right? Danny DeVito
Yeah.
doesn't meet any of those
Yeah.
criteria. I'm fucking
Yeah.
sorry.
I don't know. Have you seen him on It's Always Sunny? He comes naked he's like naked and crawling out of a couch.
Still
Same.
no. That's nightmare fuel right there.
I think it's fantastic.
Wow.
How's your week been, Condi?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, my week's been all right. This week was a little calmer for work for me, so I got a little bit more time at my computer, which I mostly spent on just making more videos. So, what are we laughing at now? I looked away and I feel like I missed something.
I almost spat my drink everywhere. Oh, you can't do that to me. It came out my
Okay,
nose.
so for listeners
someone
and viewers
clip
of the chat, we have a private discussion group chat that we use for the Discord for Zero Strategy, and Eve posted a Photoshop picture of a yellow-faced Danny DeVito with Pikachu ears with a Sherlock Holmes detective hat on.
Okay, right. That explains why I couldn't see
Very
it.
good. Very good.
Yeah, sorry, this last week was a little bit more calm for me for work time, so I had a little bit more time to work on my PC, so I spent it basically making more videos. Got a few streams in, but I'm mostly focused on the YouTube side of things. Got a couple of videos uploaded. Even I recorded a video as well off stream, which I haven't done for months. Like, it's been months since I sat down off stream to film a video, so that was really cool. and
That's
looking
the
forward to
type
getting
of
that out.
content that you need and that will make me watch.
Exactly, it's the stuff that's
100%.
I really love the, doing, like, coming up with a segment, doing it live, and then taking that and making it into videos, like the competition that Grog and I did and what I'm planning to do with Eve and stuff. Makes for good videos, but obviously a lot of my community see it live, so there's less incentive to go and watch it on YouTube.
Exactly.
Whereas,
It's
You know-
a good thing you didn't do this one live, though.
yeah, well, that's why I specifically knew the content of this one might be a little more, shall we say, inappropriate for Twitch. And
Bannable.
I thought I would rather have the
Yeah,
ability to
maybe.
edit out things. So so I'm gonna hopefully get that done whenever I find time to sit down and actually edit that. But it's been good. I've been working on a lot of video stuff. New alerts for the channel coming very soon, which is exciting. I'm looking forward to getting those out.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, this coming week is going to be another one of those ones where, like, I'm doing a shit ton of overtime. So unfortunately, kind of a quiet week for me coming up. But it's what it is. More money to buy Pokemon cards, so I can't complain.
You say a quiet week, I guarantee you'll still be streaming 5 days a week.
I don't know if I will. I'll try, but we'll see.
I'm putting money on it right now.
We shall see. But it's been good. I've been addicted to Valheim, and, like, weirdly, the Valheim streams have been some of the best streams I've had the last couple of weeks. Just because, I don't know, like, it's just such a chill time to just walk around. Well, sometimes it's chill. Dale screams a lot when we play that game, so that kind of brings up the energy a little
she
bit.
does.
Every time I watch you die,
Yeah.
you're either dying or dead.
She, like, slams her desk every time she dies and stuff, and I can hear it from the other room. Like, she's just like hitting her desk and stuff. She gets
It makes
the gamer
Condi
rage.
afraid for what's going to happen later after game.
Yeah, she gets the gamer rage big time. But yeah, it's been really, really fun. And then apart from that, like, just the usual Apex and stuff. I haven't played the new Warzone map yet.
Me neither.
I haven't played it yet either.
We should jump in and do that at some point. Because
Considering how like invested we all were in Warzone, and we've not actually played it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think it's a testament to how Raven Studio, the folks who are currently the custodians of the game after taking it off the hands of Infinity Ward, I think that's it, it speaks a lot to how they've managed the game since December of last year. And that for a game that was basically my main title 5 days a week for a year, um, I haven't even been excited to like launch into the new map because for probably the last 2 to 3 months, I couldn't play the game because it was like I was getting dev errors, once an hour on stream, and I would hard crash to the desktop, or I couldn't even get into the live event, the Easter egg event that happened. What was it like? Tuesday and Wednesday of last week.
Yeah.
Couldn't servers were overloaded. Like just
Just
every
the
time I want to
link
go in and play the game, I can't.
There's some
Um,
wall put up between it.
and
Yeah.
I could have last night, but I don't know. I need to I do need to like double down and get back into it, but it's just one of those things where there were so many little hiccups that on their own could have been overlooked, but then by the time you come to grips with like those little things, there's more little things that have been added to the pile that kind of like as an irritant, and I don't know.
Yeah. I like the way they did it, where they've just completely changed the map rather than, I guess, add a whole new map, because you couldn't have had two full-size maps in the game. It just physically, it wouldn't fit on consoles anymore.
Well,
and then why take
I mean,
the
look
risk
at
of
look at Apex
completely-
though.
I always would assume they would retire it,
Yeah.
bring a new map in, and then within like say 6 months to a year, they bring back the old map with changes like Apex has done, like where
Yeah.
they took away Kings Canyon, they brought it back with new points of interest and like
Verdansk classic.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm-
the thing from a dev point of view though is it's a big risk to completely remove the map and bring in a new one, because if players hate the new map, you're kind
Yeah.
of stuck, Whereas
Yeah,
it
true.
is a slightly, I guess you kind of hedge your bets a little bit, but just by changing things on the existing map, which is sort of the Fortnite approach, it at least players are still going to be able to come to terms with that rather than a complete shift. Because I remember when PUBG launched their second map, everyone did most people hated it, and I used to jump into PUBG with my brothers all the time, and every time it was like, no, we don't play this map, we'll back out and requeue to get the old map. Again, I know you brought up Apex, but the Apex maps are nowhere near the size of a Warzone map.
True.
And Warzone
Yeah.
as a game is already such a huge install. Adding another map of the same scale, like I say, Warzone already struggles to fit on the base PS4 and Xbox. It just wouldn't be possible. So it's interesting. I'm into the whole like 80s vibe. I want to jump in and try it, but
I
I
think.
had an interesting. Oh, sorry, on you go.
Can we talk about the cinematic and like the actual event that happened?
I didn't
For
see
one,
it, so go ahead.
I'm extremely disappointed that it didn't take 4 hours like Destiny's latest event. Right? It was very quick. It was like 5 minutes or whatever. If you haven't seen it, I would highly suggest going to see it. Look at someone's reaction, like Tin the Tap Man or Courage GD or whatever. It's really good in the first instance, but I feel like every other game platform that's actually tried to do an event to this scale has just kind of failed. Whereas the COD event actually had a lot of positive press against it. It was pretty dope. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it.
Yeah,
I think that some of the negative feedback that the new map has gotten would have been mitigated a lot if when this like crossover happened in December, where the 1980s themed Cold War and the present day Modern Warfare like integrated in Warzone. If what had happened at that point was if they had been able to push up the launch of the current map to then, and I realize people are working during quarantine, people are devs themselves are under extreme conditions. I get that, but let's just imagine in a more perfect world if the new 80s version of Verdansk had launched alongside of the Cold War integration. I think people would have been a lot more forgiving of like the map being just a redux of the current map. And I've heard a lot of good things about the new one. There's a lot of things to like, even though like the larger points of interest are still in the same relative location. When you're down on the ground, it does feel different, and that's a good thing. But I think that it's just the problem that game studio is experiencing has been they'll have a speed bump, and then before they've like fully addressed it, while they're in the process of fixing that speed bump, they'll like run into like two, three, four other speed bumps, and then eventually they'll fix the first one, but then you still have four or five like outliers lingering there that still need to be fixed that are frustrating the community. And then while they're fixing like the first few that came along, then like several more speed bumps of all, like it's like pothole after pothole after pothole. Eventually, like you don't worry if you're headed down the road that the first pothole behind you got fixed. Now you're worried about the shit that you're like running into right now. And I think that's kind of where they're struggling, is that they're not staying ahead of like bugs and or problems with the game environment before new content launches. Content's launching and either stuff slip past QA, or they just are so quick to try and get it to market that their stuff is slipping through.
Yeah.
And then they're on the back foot always trying to fix it, and it's impossible for them, because now it's like until they get to a point where no new content is on the horizon and they fixed everything, that's the point at which people will be happy again. But it's like if you just keep releasing new content and you haven't fixed the old content, then it's like it's hard to feel satisfied with the new material because you're still struggling with the past stuff that's broken,
Yeah, I also think, to your point, they maybe stretched out the old map just that bit too long, because we've been playing on that same map for what, over a year? I don't even know. It's been a long time, and like you say, even someone yourself that was diehard 5 days a week Warzone just got burnt out on it, right? For a lot of reasons, but part of that's just that you're doing the same map over and over and over to the point where you're kind of burnt out and you don't even want to necessarily try the new map. I've played Warzone once in the last 2-3 months, and I was just like, I thought after taking a big break I would enjoy it again, but I was like, it's the exact same. It's all the same. Nothing's changed, So, I mean, like I said, I can't judge without playing the new map, but...
You bring up a good point, though. One that like transcends this particular game and this particular like discussion of the map, and actually speaks to like streaming on a broader level. But like Twitch creators or YouTube creators or anyone who is, like privileged enough to be able to play these games on the regular, that like you play them. I mean, Destiny is a great example, games where people get burnt out, but then it's like, is it really that the devs didn't have the foresight to tackle XYZ issue, or is it the problem that the game actually has a decent pace and a balance to it? It's just that people are so voracious with their like hunger for the content that they don't pace it out for themselves, and as a result they burn themselves out. Because I think that happened with Destiny. It happens cyclically with Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it happens with a lot of games where like it's like you want to play it. Like every day that I got up that I played Warzone, I wanted to play Warzone. Like I wanted to get another win under my belt. I wanted to unlock something new. I wanted to complete a new achievement or set a new personal best. And all of that were expectations that I set for myself. And yet at the same time, you're right. After a year's worth of playing the same map, I did feel a little burned out. But is that the responsibility of the developers, or is that the responsibility of me for not diversifying? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it's something that every content creator will come up against, because particularly if you have a main game on stream, you feel that need to be live. And, if you've got one game that you play, then you're just going to play that game. I went through that with Destiny, as did you, Grog, and as did you, Cyber, yeah. I'm sure. I know Eve's been much more variety for a while, but it kind of, I
don't worry, there's a bad side of that too.
Yeah. I felt very much
at least
forced
you're honest.
into switching to variety after a while, and I almost, it like you say, it's almost worse, because I still find that, like, I'll be like, hey, I want to stream today, but I have no idea what I want to play, and it comes to just getting that routine down. It's tricky, but nonetheless, I would like to try the new stuff, because I don't feel like I can have a full opinion on it until I've given it a good go myself. Anyway, wanted to jump into a couple of topics and kind of get your guys' thoughts on it. Something I've seen come up a little bit this week with regards to Twitch and streaming we've talked about having bots in our channel before, and by bots we mean things like Nightbot or Stream Elements, things like that, where they can be
Fucking
helpful.
scrubs.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, you know, if you're a new streamer, what kind of commands do you want to have set up in your chat? What are good, useful commands? What are some maybe ones that you don't need to bother with? And yeah, just kind of get your guys' thoughts.
I would say fundamentally the most important one is your socials. Whether you have one that like gives you a link to the link tree or whatever external website that you're going to be using, but someone will always say like, do you have an Instagram or do you have a Twitter? It's the best one to have in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so you can set up a command, because I mean a lot of people will have those things down in their panels, but I mean realistically, how many people go scroll down in a stream and look at the panels?
One thing that I've noticed with a lot of partnered streamers is they're actually removing them. A lot of the panels at the bottom, either it's very limited or they just completely remove them altogether.
Yeah, they're copying the Zero Strategy channel.
Yeah, we're innovators.
We
That's
never
it.
developed panels, so we are already ahead of the game.
But yeah, it's a good point. I feel like there's less and less people. I will look at panels on some occasions if I find a stream I really like, and I think, well, maybe I want to check out this person's Twitter. The first thing I'm going to do is scroll down to the panels and find a link to their Twitter. But I agree that probably not a lot of people do that. You know, if people are watching on mobile as well, it's harder to get to those things. So having a command in your chat, fantastic for socials, for Discord, for Instagram, helping people connect with you outside of the stream. I would say don't be under any illusions that a lot of people are going to go do that, because, you know, the sort of transfer rate between Twitch and other platforms can be very, very, very minimal. But if somebody's truly invested in your content and your community, then having that command to just link them to your other stuff is great. Also, I mean, with Twitch now, they've updated so you can add that to your main profile. Like, you know, so if you're offline, you've got links there, which is quite handy as well. Any other commands you guys think are kind of necessary or important to set up?
I mean, I think that so for me, my approach towards commands has been, I have an extremely robust variety of commands, but I don't like overhype or advertise all of them. What I tried to do was I tried to nest it all under one command that would then like allow things to branch out. So for me, with a service like Nightbot or Stream Elements, you can sometimes set the bot to provide an announcement to Twitch chat on a timer. That timer could be a hard timer, so like say every 15 minutes you could have it post, or you can also set up thresholds, like it will post every say half hour, but it will only do it provided that chat has like reached a certain number lines of text. So for example, like as long as 10 people have made a comment or 10 lines of text have been added, that's when the timer starts. So that way it's not continuing to populate an otherwise slow chat or an empty chat with these prompts that like, you know, are useless. And then if somebody new comes in and they just see like the bot posting over and over again, that's kind of like a weird look. So what I did was I have a single command called help. Well, it's actually not even a command, it's just a timer. And what that does is I can't remember if it's like every 15 or 20 minutes, after a certain number of lines, what it does is it just says, hey, looking for channel commands, type exclamation point help for a list of available functions. And that's all it says. It doesn't say anything more. And sometimes it's interesting to watch people explore that on their own, because when somebody does go and they see that prompt and then they actually like type exclamation point help and follow that to see like what happens, I think sometimes they're surprised about the depth of what's there. So like help just brings up another prompt that says command list, and then it just says exclamation point about, exclamation point channel, exclamation point tools. And I kind of have like these three categories. So under about, if somebody types like exclamation point who, it says like who I am, you know, like a retired librarian, like I enjoy like Dungeons and Dragons, and like you know, these are the games that I like. And if they type and under about, it'll say exclamation point where. And basically each of these prompts is bringing up just another little list of other prompts that they could explore. And it's been kind of a nice way that if I'm really busy in chat, sometimes people can answer questions for themselves. So, like if they go under, sometimes even like prompts will suggest other prompts. So like, if somebody pulls up a prompt for me for my like game stats, like they want to see my stats in Warzone, I'll also say like try exclamation point um, sensitivity Apex or sensitivity Warzone, and then if they want to get my sensitivity settings, like they can, like it's all there.
Yeah.
I'm just like not advertising it at the top. So the only things that like chat really sees are there's a periodic prompt to say, hey, you can type help in chat, and it will give you a list of other functions. And each of those functions might give you a list of other functions. And it's almost like a tree branching out from there. On top of that, having your moderators know like which prompts are most useful can be really helpful for you. We added one recently after getting like a lot of people who would come to the channel for the first time, especially for things like when we would play the telephone game or we were playing Rocket League, where we kind of just wanted to vibe and chill with friends. Or in the case of the telephone game, it's like an art stream. So like you really have to be cautious about pulling in strangers for like an art stream because you want to make sure that they're not
I have a story
doing
about
something
that.
Drawing
fucked
penises
up.
all the time. Yep.
I mean, the friends that I
that
play with
happened
draw
with-
plenty
yeah,
of
I was
penises
gonna
enough.
say.
Like, but
Very
we,
detailed ones. Elephant buttholes.
but it's one of those things where we added a new command called join, and we have an alias for it called add. And basically, you can at a person. So I could do like exclamation point join Condi, and what it would do is it would target Condi in chat. The bot actually says, "Hey, Condi Fly, like thanks for asking to play, but like." Grog prefers to play with people who've been on the channel for a little while and kind of get the vibe of what's going on. Basically, it's just a friendly reminder, like, hey, thanks for asking, but don't keep spamming asking, to join. Those kinds of things can be helpful because it just allows you to have like a little sidebar conversation with the viewer that like would either be too repetitive to have on camera because you're just saying it over and over and over again if you're getting
And
requests a lot.
Are you trying to say that people have come in and continually asked, even though you said no?
All the
Yeah.
fucking
I
time.
don't believe
And-
that.
And then some people have some people have joined the Discord using the exclamation point Discord command and then come into my personal DMs while I'm live, continuing to ask if they can play, if they can 1v1 me, and if they can start a voice call with me while I'm live.
That's when
Grog,
you should have
I
said
know-
yes, get everything set up, and then just kick them.
Grog, I
Yeah.
know we're strangers, but you seem like a really nice person to talk to. All I want to do is just have a voice call with you, okay?
All
I
my
we've
friends
just
have left
met.
me.
All
And I
wanna
don't-
do
I don't have
is
anyone to
a
talk-
voice
it's like-
call with.
So when we were actually weirdly when we were playing the telephone game that time I joined you, Grog, I had someone come in and say, "Hey, can I join?" And I said, "Really sorry, we're just playing a private game at the moment." And then their response was, "That's okay. I don't mind joining a private game." And I was like, "I don't think you understand what I mean."
Yeah.
Like, take the hint, for God's sake.
Oh,
Yeah, as my wife here in chat just now mentioned,
My
it's a
wife.
thanks but no thanks bot. It's
Yeah.
I mean it's basically like there's discussions that are sometimes I think Cyber is 100% correct. Have your socials, have pertinent details about your channel, have a schedule command, have like put a command that's like exclamation point schedule that like if somebody says like how often are you live, or if they or look at the commands that like you see frequent other channels, because that's a great place to start. If you're a regular on Twitch and you follow different people or you sub to different people, there's probably going to be a Venn diagram of commands that you see multiple channels use, and that's a great way to get an idea for what maybe will work for you. So the reason why I even settled on like a join command or add command is because on some other streams, people who do like PvP for Destiny, and they do
Say
carries
doo-doo.
in competitive, or they like do trials runs and they play with their community. Often a command they might use is join, like to join a queue, or add to like, add a friend. And I kind of like surreptitiously hijacked that command. So if somebody just comes in assuming that they can just use that to join, it's just going to let them politely know, like, hey, thanks, but we're cool. And those kinds of things are great because just picking ideas up for other channels can give you like real insight into what might work for you. And also think about yourself as a streamer, sorry, as a viewer, not a streamer, but like what do you want to know about someone? What's the most useful tool for you when you visit a channel? Do you want to know? I mean, you're probably going to want to know maybe a bit about who they are, maybe even a list of like games that they play. You know, just try to think about ways that you can kind of preempt the needs of the viewer. And if you can come up with a list of commands that like are there, but even if you're not advertising them, they can be great ways for the chat themselves to stumble across them because they might just try stuff out.
Yeah. I think it's important as well, the point you made, and kind of to reiterate that, you know, the commands, you can kind of look at what's coming up frequently in your chat, like you did with the join, and then react to it with a command that's going to kind of make your life easier. Like an example I'm thinking of is back in the day when I used to stream Destiny 1, a lot of the commonly asked questions were, hey, what's the role on that weapon you're using? Right? And
Yeah.
I could have a command, exclamation point, sniper, and it'll give you the stats and the role on that gun. Or, you know, here's a link that takes you straight to my character and all the stuff I have. And like that was a common question. And we set up that command because, you know, that's something that's being asked repeatedly, and it's a nice, easy way to deal with it without, like you say, repeating the same thing over and over. So, you know, pay attention to what sort of things are coming up in your chat. What questions do you get repeatedly? And, you know, how can you maybe make that a little easier with a command? It's great. And like you say as well, make sure your mods know so they can answer these things in chat while you're maybe busy or doing something else.
Yeah, there was a great, I mean, and you can also tailor like tiers of commands to your games. Because remember, like there's almost a difference between the bot can be set up again with these timers to like periodically prompt people like, hey, did you know that we have a Discord? Type exclamation point Discord to join. Condi has a great one where every time if you follow him on his channel, I think this is like super clever on your part. Every time Condi gets a follow, it says, hey, so and so, like the bot picks up the user's name that was part of the follow, it retypes it. So it says like, you know, hey person XYZ, thanks so much for following the channel. Did you know that we have like an active and friendly Discord community? Consider joining. And then there it pastes like the little link. So like I have a prompt that just is exclamation point Discord, and it doesn't come up on a timer. It's just if somebody asks, I just tell them, hey, type that in the channel, and it'll give you all the information you need. Condi took a completely different approach, which I think is great because they're only going to get that thank you for following prompt once when they follow. And it's not really intrusive. It's a one-time, hey, did you know that we have this? Thanks for being here. Also, we've got it. This is an extension of the community. There are two different ways. There's different ways to do it, and I don't think there's a right or a wrong, but I think the way Condi did his is brilliant. In regards to like tailoring it to the needs of like what you play most often, if you think about the if it's a game where there's crafting or there's a game where there's like builds or loadouts, as Condi mentioned, that's a great tool. I used to get asked questions constantly in Warzone like, hey, how do you have your gun set up? Like what loadout are you using? Like why are you using that? Like what's the deal? And rather than, because I'm spending more time in the game than I am in the menus, being able to show people like what I actually have on the gun, it was a suggestion from chat that, hey, what if you used your Discord and made a channel where you just took a screenshot of all your blueprints? So this is basically just a screenshot of my loadout. It's got all the attachments, all the pertinent information there, and I just put that in a channel on Discord, and then I can actually use that Discord image URL and tie it back to a command. So if someone were to go into my channel right now and they want to know what my build is for a particular weapon or tool, they can just type exclamation point, the name of the weapon, and it will say, you know, this is my season 2 build of this thing, and it gives them just a little bit.ly link, and if they click it, it populates like a giant, like lovely high-res screenshot of what it is, and that it's just pulling that straight from the Discord. And so basically it's a lot of time that I spend on my back end, but like I have set up probably almost 100 different commands for like all of the different loadouts that I have. But if you literally want to know how I've set up anything, you can just go into the channel and just type it out, and boom, you got it. And so that took planning on my part, But from the viewer standpoint, it seems like kind of wild that like you're like, wow, you've got every like
Yeah.
if I want to know anything about anything that you have set up for this game, like I can just type a command for it and it's already there for me. Like that's kind of like a cool wow moment, I think, as a viewer. And I actually like chat suggested it, but I also kind of borrowed the idea from another channel. It's Iron. He's a streamer for Warzone, and he had a similar command where basically like he would have a screenshot of his stuff, and taking advice from chat and also looking at what other people are doing and modifying it to fit your needs. It's a perfect way to start, and it could work with any game. If there's like if you're playing an MMO and maybe there's like a crafting formula for like making a certain kind of something, or maybe there's like a game where you've got like a set of abilities that like you recommend people take them in a certain order. Like you could tie that back to a command. You could tie it back to a post on Twitter. You could do anything really.
Yeah, absolutely. Eve, you got any other suggestions for commands? What sort of stuff do you have in your channel?
No, that kind of that kind of covered it.
Yeah.
I think another big one is just like YouTube, TikTok, but I think that's covered under socials. But I like to separate those
Sure.
so people can just be like, oh, hey, this is where you can find other content if I'm not live. If I
That's a good
make
point.
the content.
Yeah, the content's got to be there first, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an important thing.
Yeah, like I have one for like Exclamation Point Pod, which links people here to the podcast. I've got a YouTube one, I've got a Twitter one. So yeah, I mean, I don't use Linktree. I know some of you guys do. But yeah, I like to have it, sort of split up separately. The other one I was thinking was a potentially a big one was the shout out command, which is I think something we all have or we all use. Basically just to, show appreciation when there's another creator in the chat, give them a bit of a shout out. Personally, I don't necessarily think it always does very much. It's a nice gesture, but getting a shout out certainly in my channel is not going to get you a bunch of followers. But it's a nice thing to do. If I have a friend show up and I'm just like, hey, by the way, guys, you should check out Eve, and drop a shout out, get one of the mods to type it out, and then there's a link right there, and it's nice and easy to go and head over. I like to use it whenever we get a raid or a host, because it's like showing that extra bit of appreciation for somebody coming in and raiding the channel. And I feel like you want to make that good impression when somebody comes in, if there's new eyes on your stream suddenly, doing a shout out to be like, hey guys, let's return the favor, let's go show some support. Like it's just kind of a nice one. And shout out commands are fairly easy to set up on most bots nowadays.
Yep. Just to kind of add another layer to that, you can set it up automatically using the bot that we both use.
Yeah.
That if somebody raids you, it automatically sends out a shout out command.
I should really do that. I had one the other day. I raided somebody. Was it Iceman? It was Iceman, just to give Iceman a bit of a shout out. I raided into Iceman's stream, and when his mod did a shout out, it took a clip from my stream and played it over his channel. I don't know if it was looking at like most recent clip or most viewed or whatever. I don't know how it works, if it was random. But yeah, basically it did his mod typed shout out and then it just played over the screen a clip from that stream, which I thought was really cool because it immediately gives that streamer that's watching, that's being rated, a bit of a glimpse into what that streamer was maybe doing on the stream. And it is a nice way to also be like, hey, check out the streamer. Here's a small clip of content that we think might be good. Now, the only thing is, obviously, sometimes, as we all know, clips don't come out right. And maybe, there's a clip of you doing nothing or you're just AFK and there's a clip that plays. But I kind of thought that was a really nice little extra level and a really cool feature, which I might yoink, to be honest.
I'm stealing the fuck out of that. Yeah. I'm Googling how to do it right now.
Credit to Iceman, though. Obviously, I don't know where he got it from, but that's where I saw it, and I thought it was a really cool idea. Does anyone have any kind of fun commands? Just to give an example, I have a couple fun commands that my mods added. And I think it'd be fun if each of us kind of went through maybe a funny command that we have. So my mods have the ability to add commands to the channel, or they certainly used to. Yeah, and Nixie in the podcast chat knows it already. It's exclamation point comedy, And if you type it, my bot will post, "You may have noticed Andrew attempts to be funny at various points in the stream with little to no success. He is aware of this and he is working on it." Which is one of my favorite ones.
How are you working on it?
By just getting funnier. Have I told you my cheese joke?
Yes, you have, like 50 times.
So do we just leave?
Do you have any fun commands like that?
I think most of my like unique ones that aren't just like individual ones for people are quotes from games that we've played. So anytime those words get said in any context, they put that, like, "For real?" from Persona. Anytime that happens, someone does that.
Yeah.
I need
See
to.
that.
I have a list. I have a list of all these things, these voice lines that I need to pull from some games for those voice commands. Because there's some good ones from
I've got
Danganronpa that we've been
I've
playing
got
through.
some got some fun ones. Most of my
Eat well,
fun
shit
commands.
well. Your beard's not
Right,
even
bro.
2 feet long, pussy. Pussy.
Pussy.
I've got a lot of fun commands, but a lot of them are self-referential to the channel. So like there's, I think you kind of have to know yourself and know like after a while, I think everybody's channel kind of develops like a certain vibe. You have in jokes, you have topics that you frequently talk about. Like for whatever reason, I'm not a food-based channel, but we talk about food a lot. Food and types of food and things that we like and things that we hate. Like it seems to be a common occurrence. And like I have a highlight that's really funny, where Ginger joined the channel and we were just talking about like my lunch that day, and I was eating, I forget
My
what my
lunch.
main meal was, but I had some I had cheese curds on the side, and I was trying to explain what cheese curds were, and then it's just like this funny interaction where it's just like the banter that went back and forth was just comedy gold, and I ended up saving that highlight. So now, I have a command for it. So if you type exclamation point curd or exclamation point curds, it just like pulls up that highlight. Or there's like a running joke that like if there's a bird in a game, like I'm gonna kill it. Not be all because I
monster.
accidentally killed a bird in Call of Duty, killed a chicken.
Accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
I killed a chicken in Call of
Accidentally
Duty.
shot it right in the face.
But so because it became like a running meme on the channel, I have a command called exclamation point bird crime, and it populates with like a clip that is kind of like the root source of this meme. There's also like a personality like I do on the channel called Griselda, and like I have one where I actually went back and found like the first iteration of like where this character even came from. It just came from a stream that my wife and I did, and I was doing a silly voice, and then if you type exclamation point Griselda, that shows up. It plays that clip. That's kind of like the origin story. And then also I have another one where I'm like in character, absolutely slaying out. Like it's ludicrous. It's funny to watch. It's one of my better like gameplay moments, and also it's just bonkers. And so like I made a clip of that. Like having things that are referential to your channel can be kind of fun. My first fun command that still people seem to like is I have a joke ban command, because I felt like when I was in Condi's channel, mods would jokingly ban people, but like actually ban people on the regular. And by that I mean friends of the channel or friends of the show. Like a moderator would ban them and unban them right away.
You can just
they
say
would
it,
say
Wolfie.
something.
It's Wolfie. Wolfie loves
Yeah.
banning. Yeah.
But like you might say something saucy in chat, and then like a mod bans you and unbans you for the lulls. I never really wanted to actually like ban someone, because my fear was always that like, what if you joke ban a friend and then forget to unban them? So I made a joke command, and it's exclamation point ban, which the syntax for Twitch is /ban. But if you type exclamation point ban, you can target anyone in chat. You can just type at their name, and the bot will like show up, and it's just like little emoticons of Bob Ross saying like, haha, you're banned. Like, thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your life. And so when chat starts to get rammy and joking with each other, they can like ban each other for the laughs. But like, I mean, that wasn't like a reference to anything. It was just like I thought it would be a funny thing to do, and people seem to enjoy it. I mean, you just have to kind of pick up on the things that your chat enjoys. And if you can really just appease your chat and just give them the tools they want to play around, um, all the better, I think.
Yeah, I love having commands that link to clips. Like the main one I can think of is the
Vape juice.
yeah, the vape juice command, where I was trying to fill my e-cigarette, and as I was pouring in the vape juice, the lid just popped off, which it's not supposed to do. Like, it has a nozzle, but it just popped off and it went everywhere. And this was like one of those moments where everything I was saying could be taken out of context, because I was like, oh, it's all over the carpet. Oh, it's everywhere. And like that just became a clip that is now linked to a commanded chat, which people like to laugh at. So yeah, I mean, stuff like that's fantastic. You know, I think having those little fun flavor commands for your community is always a good one. Do we have anything else, or do we want to move on to the next topic here?
Well, I just kind of wanted to say at like the meta level, think about breaking your commands down into like kind of sections. So you should have kind of like your top tier commands, and I would say those would be the ones that are most essential to either the growth of the channel or information about the channel. So those would be your socials, those would be your schedule, those would be, you know, if you have an about, like a little bio that you want to post. If you have uh you know, if you have something that like advertises other work that you do, like for example, I have one called Exclamation Point Pod, which hypes up this podcast. Those kinds of top tier commands, just think about them as, you know, like meta utility for presenting information about you, the channel, what you're about, what you do, and how they can find out more. That's probably the
That's
one
the
of the
goal.
more essential ones. And then secondary to that would be commands that are moderation commands. Think about any command that is either going to be used by your mods or going to be used by yourself. And moderation isn't just for like punitive stuff, but like moderation is also just for helping take the burden off of you. So just think about any moderation command being something that saves you time. So for you know, if you get asked questions constantly in the game, hey, what are your graphics settings for this? Or, you know, what loadout do you use? Or what are your stats? Or what music is that you're playing? Like, you can set up so many different commands that will just, it's a simple thing that either you or your mods can just type in, and it will just answer a question on your behalf. It's not necessarily about linking people to like, it's not like your top tier commands where you're trying to direct them to your socials or direct them to a website. Like, these are things that are just trying to answer questions in the game. So if somebody wants to know, like, how does Amazon Prime work? How can I use my free Prime sub? Like, maybe make a command, exclamation point Prime, and it just tells them how they can link their sub for free. Um, you know, like, you can have an uptime command that, like, if somebody says, hey, how long have you been live? Like, it seems like a long stream today. You can have a command that says that. Think about those kinds of things, like you know, people want to know about your PC specs. Make a specs command. You know, anything that people want to know about that you find yourself answering on the reg, make a command for it, and that maybe just falls under moderation. And then I think one of the last things is, like, if you're on PC or even if you're on console, like, and you're a person that likes to play with your community or likes to or even just like has people that you want to invite to play with, then consider making commands for your various game accounts so that people know how to find you. So, like, I have commands for Activision, Blizzard, Gamertag slash PlayStation name, and Steam. So that way, if like I'm saying, hey, so and so in chat, you've been asking me about how to do this challenge in a game. I would be happy to help you with that. Do you want to play with me? And if they say yeah, I'd be like, okay, cool. Type exclamation point Steam in chat, and it'll give you all the, you know, it'll give you a link and my friend code, and then you can just join from there. Things that are, sometimes it's just an easy way to save yourself time, but also an easy way to just save time of the people you're playing with, and just think about breaking them down. And as like Eve mentioned, like, she's kept a literal notebook next to her, you know, tabulating, like, these are the sound effects from games that I want to pull. Just keep a little notepad. Just as you don't, doesn't mean you have to work on like adding a command that stream, but if it seems like a good idea to revisit later, just jot it down somewhere, and then at least you have a little set of notes to come back to.
I had to do this specifically because for the first Danganronpa game, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna pull out this voice line and this voice line after stream," because like I found a site where they ripped all the actual game file audio, so you can get no background music or anything, just the voice line for all these older games. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I was looking through it. It's like, obviously nothing's labeled because there's like 1,000 voice lines for each character.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I think it was like halfway through the game, so let me go here. And it was after where I was, and I had a huge spoiler, and I was like, uh-oh. It's like, okay, I'm gonna start waiting until after I finish the game, I guess.
Yeah, that's a risk you need
It's
to
like,
think about.
oh my god, so and so, I can't believe we survived this. I was like, fuck!
Just to go even further on what Grog said real quick as well, is if you happen to have something like a Stream Deck, or there's even an app, for the Stream Deck that you can use as well, where you can, you have buttons to change scenes and things. You can set up commands so you can just press a button and it will put the command in chat. Like I have someone that constantly shills out my YouTube, as I get told all the time. So I have a button on my Stream Deck that I just press and it will just put exclamation point YT and pop the link in. So like when I'm finishing a stream, I can say, hey guys, come and check out the YouTube, and I can press a button and the link will be right there. And, and I don't have to go in and type it out. I know it saves me like 2 seconds, but if you have a bunch of those commands, money. Yeah, right. Like if someone subs, I can press a button, hey, sub hype, and it'll just do all the commands and everything. It can be really useful. I mean, obviously, if you're just getting started, you may not have a Stream Deck or something like that. But there are ways to set up like hotkeys and things like that. Just if you want to go that extra level with it. But it can be very helpful when you get there. The other thing I wanted to quickly talk about before we end today was a question that we got last week. I can't remember, was it Vul that asked this question last week?
It was Vul, yeah.
It was Vul, I thought so. So Vul was asking our opinions on what we think Twitch and YouTube and content creation is going to look like in sort of 10 years. What changes do we foresee happening over the next 10 years? And I just want to have a quick discussion about it, really see what you guys think. Also, I need to be right back, so if you could just entertain everyone, I'll be 2 seconds.
God, I can't believe this.
Bullshit. Do you
should
want
just
my honest...
awkwardly sit here silently until he gets back.
I mean, I'm dead.
Yeah, chat will appreciate
just to spite
that.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, just to spite him and all of our viewers.
If you want my honest opinion, I genuinely think that Twitch will be split right down the middle, and it's going to be gaming content and plus 18 content. I have a feeling it's going to get pushed in that direction to a certain point where it's going to have to differentiate specifically because of advertising.
That's a good, the advertising is a good point, because I mean, YouTube is in a situation now where content creators, as of within the last year and a half, like there was new terms of service that were added to the platform where they really required you to be extremely specific about who your audience was for your content. You couldn't just post a video and being like, this is me, this is how I act, this is my, this is the banter that I have on my platform. It is what it is, view at your own discretion. Now you need to very explicitly state, is this for children? Is this not for children? Is this for, people that are 18 plus, etc.? And as you mentioned, all of that has to do with how the algorithm is going to tailor pushing your content towards people when it makes recommendations, but also for advertisers getting linked up with your content. So if you try to monetize any of your videos, what products will be, fit to be paired with you. I think that would be interesting for Twitch. I don't know. Do you think though that Twitch would ever go down a route where they would allow themselves to have, I think like pornographic or sexual content? Because I think that there's a big difference between having it gated into an 18 plus or area, and then having just it be like a family friendly, whatever area, because 18 plus, I mean, can still just be, content that is what we have on Twitch now. It just happens to be
lots of
maybe
fucking
channels.
swear words.
Yeah, where we have coarse language, or you play, really gory, bloody games, or basically, I mean, 18 plus could simply just be it's a channel with coarse language and maybe graphic content, but still content that is not of a a
Family friendly.
overtly sexual nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
Um,
I think if Twitch tried to do that, they wouldn't survive
Yeah, I
because
kind of agree.
they'd get beaten out by everything else that already exists.
I
yeah, diversifying in that way might be rough because I mean, like, why go to Twitch if there are things like Pornhub? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna tailor my response to that. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of creators are doing now is pushing the directive of what can I do on stream that won't get me banned, but the most eyes are gonna be on me. And that doesn't just like hone in on like sexual content. I'm talking about like look at Ludwig, the massive stream that he done, the challenges on mental health that must have, not to mention physical health. Twitch probably would have stepped in at some point and said, "Look, you've been streaming for too long. We're going to shut it down," because they've already got an automatic implementation of that process. What is it? 3 days and then your stream shuts down. It's like
after a certain
72
amount of
hours.
hours, yeah.
So they've already thought about certain aspects of that, but it's going to be interesting to see. Like obviously we've got a lot of stuff going on like Twitch currently. It would be funny even just a year's time to see what the next, like, let's see if I don't get banned for this and let's see how many subs that can get. Because everyone's pushing the fucking envelope. It's ridiculous, but it gets you watching. It really does.
See, the thing is, I can see where you're coming from with this, and I agree that I think Twitch needs to make a big change at some point in the next few years. The reason I say it though is a lot about right now, after Mixer closed, there's not that direct competition for Twitch. And we talked about it before. The greatest thing that Mixer ever did was make it appear like they were competing with Twitch. Realistically, they were never anywhere near to the scale of Twitch in terms of minutes watched, hours watched, average viewers on streams. They were nowhere near, right? But they made it seem like they were, right? And that was like a big thing because it sounded like, oh, Twitch versus Mixer.
Who's Mitch?
You know what I'm trying to say. Twitch versus Mixer was like a big thing. Obviously, Mixer's gone, so then you kind of have the feeling that, well, maybe Twitch can afford to kind of not be pushing as hard to bring out new things. But a lot of it comes down to there's still YouTube. And while you may, in a lot of people's heads think, well, YouTube's a completely separate kind of service, YouTube does, I follow a lot of streamers on YouTube now, and there's still solid viewer numbers on a lot of those channels. And I sometimes now watch live streams on YouTube. I never used to, but sometimes I do now. And I do think the streaming side of YouTube isn't as good. And I've said it before, I'd love to get somebody who does stream on YouTube full-time on the podcast to talk about it, as I would with Facebook as well, to kind of get their perspective. As a viewer, I don't enjoy the watching experience on YouTube quite the same as I do on Twitch. But YouTube is such a Goliath that if they make a few quality of life changes to their live streaming side of it, I really think they could blow Twitch out of the water. They really could. If YouTube pulled the same move as Mixer and they grabbed a few of those top streamers and they made some changes to make their live stream portion a bit easier, and they implemented maybe took a few ideas from Twitch. Like, they have memberships, which are like subs. One of the downsides is you can't like gift memberships on YouTube, but
They're working on it,
you
apparently.
bet they'll be working on it. Yeah, exactly. If they made a few improvements and they did a Mixer where they pulled a few of those top, maybe they looked at Nick Merckx and XQC and people like that maybe they want to bring over. Maybe not XQC, but arguably he's one of the biggest, but you take my point. If they were to nab a few of them, YouTube could really make a dent on Twitch. Whereas I don't believe that Mixer, even with acquiring like Ninja and Shroud, they didn't really make a big dip. YouTube, a lot of these big top creators already have an established audience. People like Ninja have millions of subs on YouTube. It's interesting to think about.
I don't even think you would need to go as far as like stealing top creators. I think if they fix the architecture of their website, if they make it the best, like arguably the best and most streamlined place to actually be, I think people will go there naturally. That was one of the inviting things that Mixer had, because it was so easy to stream on there. You could stream from your Xbox with absolutely no tools. It was so goddamn easy. And I think if like I think it was Valkyrie that said this, she doesn't even know herself who is currently live on that platform.
Yeah.
And that's where she exclusively streams from. If they fix just small little bits of the code and make it a lot more accessible, they're not even competing at that point. It's a matter of where the community goes from there.
Well, one of the things, Condi, that you mentioned that I think kind of ties a lot of this together is the issue of perception, right? Because Mixer relied before on cultivating and curating this public perception that they were a direct competitor to Twitch, and I actually think that they were quite successful in that. And so whether they were or they weren't is not really important, even though that sounds like, crazy, because I mean, facts are facts. The numbers speak for themselves. But the thing is, public perception, I think that they were incredibly effective at making you think that they were a direct competitor. And you had plenty of people talking on various platforms, especially when large content creators moved. Should I move too? I think I will move. A lot of people did move. And they didn't just do that based on nothing. They did it because of their perception of the company and the perception of, like, the grass is really greener over here, that they're offering me more things, or that this is going to be a better experience. I think, though, that it can kind of cut both ways. We know that YouTube, is an incredibly established platform. Google has thrown a lot of weight behind it over time, because it is part of their umbrella of products. And Google doesn't actually have a really good track record of starting new products and supporting them. Usually, a lot of endeavors that they start internally only last a year to a couple years, and they phase them out. And their hardware development is even worse. Their Google phones, like, and Google Chromebooks, like, their support is even worse. They are very much a company that they already know what they do. They do it well, and they just keep, like, kind of like, keep that cycle running. YouTube, for them, mercifully, has been part of that. So YouTube is integral now to Google's success. I think the biggest hurdle for YouTube is going to be the fact that they may not ever make, even though they are arguably the larger platform and more dominant and more established, from a public perception standpoint, they have a long way to go for making the public believe that that is the premier way for people to engage with a content creator live.
Yeah.
Because that's not what people look at the platform for. YouTube, even though it has some of those features, the perception around the platform is still stuck on what YouTube was, and what it currently is still based on that perception.
Yeah. VOD
Are there
content.
features there that have broken it out to make it a little more of a direct competitor to Twitch? Yeah, but again, I can't tell when somebody's live on there. Like, it is not set up in a way that makes it a direct competitor because of how they've cultivated your idea of what they do. I think fundamentally they would need to make changes on the platform that broadly expand the list of services and the visibility of the live tools that they have, and make more live tools available for them to directly compete. I think Twitch actually is going to be around in 10 years. I do. Facebook has been around 17 years now and change. I mean, that seems crazy to say, but Facebook is kind of fucking old at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that Twitch actually has a huge market share in this live streaming arena, and arguably they have the largest market share. It's their battle to lose right now, and they would have to basically continue to fuck up and or under support their own services, and basically chip away at their own foundation to actively fail, or they would need someone like YouTube to really snap together and make a big, like, culture shift where they maybe even not, like, just like Billy said at the start, he thinks that Twitch will split into kind of like two halves, this 18 plus and not 18 plus arena in the future. I think YouTube needs to make that kind of split now if they really want to be a competitor to Twitch, they need to basically almost make two halves. Like they need to make YouTube Live, and they need to make just there needs to be YouTube and YouTube Live, and YouTube Live is basically Twitch 2.0. And until they do something like that and they make it dramatic where they have created the tools and the platform to really satisfy both the streamers and the viewers. Right now, I think Twitch has plenty of room to continue to thrive. But the thing is, Twitch doesn't have that direct competition, and as such, doesn't have an incentive to innovate. I think they continue to innovate, but they probably are not pushing it as aggressively as they might be, when they still had Mixer around. Because Mixer, even though it was not on the same scale, public perception, Mixer was really good with their PR about getting you to think that they were direct competitors.
Sure.
And yeah,
So
I don't know.
I have kind of two thoughts on it all with regards to that whole topic. The way I see it, or the way I'm thinking about it is, what are the two main types of content that creators are making, right? In general, there's live content and there's video on demand content. Those are the two big ones that you're looking at. And in most cases, you're thinking Twitch and YouTube, right? So the thing is, Twitch is amazing for live streaming content. Brilliant. But in terms of on-demand video content, completely, there's nothing. You have the ability to upload highlights and videos. I mean, I could, when I make a video, I could upload it to YouTube and to Twitch, but I've never even thought twice about uploading it to Twitch, because what's the point, right? Nobody is watching video on demand content on Twitch. So I just straight up wouldn't bother. The thing is, YouTube has the video on demand. And I would say if we're looking at video on demand versus on YouTube versus live streaming on Twitch, they're probably, if you're looking at a similar sort of level, right? Twitch has got that lockdown. YouTube's got the video on demand lockdown. The thing is, YouTube's got the live streaming to a much, much higher level than Twitch has the other side with the video on demand. I think if you're looking at, if you want to get both sides of that up to level, YouTube has a far easier time and a much easier job getting live streaming to be big on YouTube than Twitch ever has of making VOD content, right? YouTube with a few, I mean, like I say, I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube live, but I can see the people that are live that I subscribe to, and there's some insane numbers there, right? On watching some of these live streams. I've seen, podcasts with hundreds of thousands of live viewers on YouTube, right? I've seen a lot of, I don't know what that is in the chat, but there's a lot of live viewers watching live content on YouTube. Like, it is there. So all I'm saying is, if they make those changes to really make live content on YouTube thrive, which again, I really don't feel like is that out of, whether or not they want to make those changes is obviously, that's YouTube and Google's business. But if they were to make those few changes to really bump the live part of it, they could do that so easily, whereas Twitch just cannot compete with video on demand. And I don't think there's a way that Twitch can suddenly market their product as a VOD level. You see what I mean? So it's almost like, if YouTube gets that sorted, they've then got the best of both, and Twitch has just got that one. Now, obviously, yeah, a lot of it is market perception, and with again, most people are going to say the premier place to be streaming live is Twitch right now. But in 10 years, if YouTube decides that live content is a big thing, they could make those changes and they could really then corner both markets. Whereas, like I say, Twitch doesn't have the ability to take both markets. There's no way Twitch can get video on demand content to pop on that platform.
You're 100% right. I agree with you completely. My concern is that Google, I think the problem is the mindset of the companies. The mindset of Twitch right now, their hangup is without more of a direct competitor for the live marketplace. My worry is that they will maybe stagnate a little.
Mm-hmm.
My worry with YouTube is of a completely different nature. There just is not. Google is such a slow, lumbering behemoth. They do not do anything quickly. They don't pivot quickly. They don't release new content quickly, and they don't support new content quickly. Um, YouTube of today, barring like bells and whistles for like notifications or like the UI UX of like how the website is used, YouTube fundamentally has not changed in 20 years. YouTube is still functionally the same for video on demand content. Yes, are there little more tiny features and things that you can toggle and whatnot, but like autoplay has been there for over 15 years. Do you know what I mean? Like my concern with YouTube is that they have the lion's share, as you said, for video on demand content, and they already have a good starting platform for live. I just don't think it will come down to their desire to really drive that forward.
Yeah.
And right now, I I don't know. I just it Google is just very, very slow. Their approach towards making money as a business is they create an effective platform, an effective foundation for generating revenue, and then they don't really change it once it works. They refine it and they refine it over and over and over again, but they're not necessarily a company that is obsessive about continuing to add in new things and then support it. So I don't know. I think that like also YouTube is so much bigger.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon is massive. You know, I mean, Amazon is equally massive as a company. But the way that like YouTube is structured and the way that Twitch is structured, YouTube is also just the much bigger entity as compared to Twitch as a sub platform. And I think that right now, Twitch's mistake is going to be not having the pressure to innovate, but they do have the latitude and the flexibility to innovate quickly, whereas YouTube does not. YouTube is this sprawling thing underneath Google, and they're not going to be quick to pivot.
Yeah.
So if they are going to build out that live side of their platform, chances are their roadmap is a 10-year roadmap, where Twitch's could be a 3-year roadmap to make the same amount of change. And again, I'm saying that based on my gut. You know, we don't have any insider information here on the podcast
That you know of.
Speak
but,
for yourself.
Itch.
I agree though, and I'm trying to think like 10 years in the future. The way I see Twitch, you know, so say for argument's sake that YouTube are having a meeting right now and they're saying, we want to take these Twitch guys down. Let's really double down on the live streaming side of it. We don't even need to worry so much about VOD. That's there. We've got that. No one's touching us. Let's put a lot of time into live stream, right? The way that Twitch has to beat that is they have to innovate and they have to come up with, they have to really make it so that, yeah, okay, you can do all the stuff on YouTube, but like, this is all the stuff you can do on Twitch. They have to really push that to keep it going, because like I say, trying to compete for VOD is not applicable for Twitch. It doesn't work. The other interesting thing I'm thinking is that we've seen the ridiculous success of TikTok, right? People in 2021, this is going to make me sound like such a boomer, but people's attention spans are getting shorter, you know? I notice it too. See, if I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see the little bar at the bottom and I'm like, this is a 60-second TikTok. Fuck this. I'm on to the next one. I want to see quick, funny clips, right? Like, people's attention spans getting shorter. So, you know, TikTok, absolutely massive right now in terms of literally user base, huge. And YouTube, you can see, is kind of trying to react to that. They're adding in their shorts on YouTube, which is not something I've experimented with yet, but I'm seeing a lot of people posting them. And you've got things like even Twitter have got like the Instagram stories now coming in, whereas the short form, quick content. Twitch has clips, but they're doing nothing with those clips. They need to be more innovating on clips right now. If it was me, that's what I'd be saying. I'd be saying, we can't compete with YouTube. We can't have streamers uploading videos to Twitch because we're not going to be able to compete. We need to start making something with clips. And I've said it before. It wasn't my idea. I heard it from someone else. But if they had on the Twitch mobile app, which the mobile app is garbage, right? I don't like the Twitch mobile app. But if they implemented just a part of that app where you can just scroll through clips similar to TikTok, that would be huge. It would be so big, just scrolling through Twitch clips, you know? exactly like the way TikTok works. It would be
And then
great
you
for
could watch the clips from the
discoverability.
actual people instead of just all the reposts.
Yeah. It would be amazing for discoverability, and I think it would really help Twitch get a leg up over YouTube. I mean, I hope that they're working on something like this. I really do. But I mean, knowing Twitch, who knows?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about because so much can happen in 10 years, you know? And I completely agree with what you're saying as well, Grog, which is that, you know, YouTube
Bold
can
of
be
you
very
to
slow.
assume we'll still be here in 10 years.
Dude, I'll still be here in 20 years with my walking stick and my, you know, a huge
No,
glasses.
I meant the world.
Well, yeah, that's fair too. I just think, yeah, Twitch is going to have to make some really big changes to keep themselves as number one in the streaming community. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what they can do to up the game. But
One thing to
that's what they
think
gotta
about,
do.
and this is more just me theory crafting than anything, is what we can't know is how much time YouTube currently spends investing in ways or researching ways to maintain their dominance as a video on demand platform. As like, because think about it this way, it's about allocation of resources and allocation of energy. We don't know, but I'm sure there is a huge allocation of energy on behalf of YouTube to fend off things like Vimeo, to fend off other video on demand and other asynchronous content derived websites, because there's so many of them that are trying to become YouTube,
Yeah.
that are trying to have a niche in there. And so this discussion that we're having is interesting, but we're looking at it because of our priority as streamers, as live content creators, um, hangs heavily on what YouTube and or what Twitch will do in the future regarding live content and how they'll innovate and how they'll spend their resources innovating. But the thing is, we also can't ignore the fact that YouTube is going to be investing as much time maintaining dominance of their current platform. They like think about it this way. YouTube doesn't have any impetus to take on Twitch if Twitch is already the leading provider, because the most important thing for YouTube to do is to reinvest and double down on what is already making them successful. New ventures into unknown territory or opening up services like into new wings of their platform is a gamble, because you're projecting that it might lead to something. The biggest like benefit that YouTube can look at is continuing to monopolize and monetize the services that they already do well, and make sure that they are the reason why people go to YouTube and not to Vimeo. And so if we are talking about this as though that like these companies are directly aware of one another and are like, all right, well, you know, we need to put these Twitch guys under, and Twitch is like, all right, we need to fend off YouTube. I don't think that thought process is maybe even happening on the level that we're speculating it does. I think that Twitch is really only probably looking at other platforms that are predominantly live broadcasting, and I think YouTube is predominantly worried about other platforms that are like content on demand, you know, like asynchronous video platforms. I think that's their focus. And until like there's more bleed through, I think the whole live side of YouTube is going to be a bit of a experiment, much the way that I don't think Facebook is ever going to be a real competitor to either in the Facebook gaming arena, because Facebook is all about the social media interaction and advertising and pushing promoted content. It's all about the timeline and curating this like, you know, social news feed and taking your data and reselling that data. Like they're doing a thing that neither YouTube nor Twitch can do. They have a social media engagement level that is like completely beyond what those two companies are capable of. And so each one has a box. The question is, do they really need to break out of that box further with because to do that is to incur a risk. You know, Facebook is incurring a risk by spending money to do the whole Facebook music. so that they can like basically appease the people at Facebook Gaming so that there is like DMCA free material for streamers to stream.
Yeah.
That's a gamble for them. They invested money heavily into that on the presumption that that would draw people to the platform to want to stream there. But again, at the end of the day, these companies are gonna try to solidify their foundation that they already have, and what they already have is vastly different than what each other is already doing. So I don't see Facebook Gaming being a threat, no more than I currently see YouTube Live being a threat to Twitch. But I do think that they need to be threats to one another to drive that innovation. So I don't know.
Yeah, I always just get the feeling that Facebook doesn't particularly care. You
They
know,
don't give
I
a
get the
fuck
feeling
right
that
now.
Facebook just kind of do their own thing and don't really particularly care about the other platforms because, you know, to me it seems very transparent that Facebook purposely separated out Facebook and Facebook Gaming to two completely separate things. Whereas I do feel more on YouTube, they're trying to integrate it a little bit. They've not done it well, but they're trying to integrate it into some way. Whereas I do think Facebook was like, let's just create a new Facebook Gaming thing and just let them get on with it. And I'm sure as long as they're making some money off of it, they'll just leave it there. And I don't feel like Facebook really cares. Obviously, the whole thing they did with licensing music for DMCA and stuff was a surprising move that I don't think anyone saw coming. But I get the feeling, me personally don't ever think Facebook's going to be a competitor, whereas I do think the real battle is the YouTube versus Twitch kind of side of it.
I would agree with that.
Like you say, we need to see where it comes. But I mean, to circle back to the original sort of question, which was what do we see happening in 10 years? Where do we see this all being in 10 years? It's impossible to really say. I mean, we know that these sites need to innovate to keep going. I think I'm certainly much more familiar with Twitch than I am with YouTube. You know, I post videos on there, but I don't really stream, and I don't spend a ton of time looking through YouTube stuff. It's mostly just post a video and then carry on with the next one, you know, and deal with it that way. I feel like Twitch need to be the ones to step up and make some moves. I also agree that, you know, when Mixer was around, you were seeing a lot more stuff coming from Twitch. You were seeing a lot more announcements coming out of Twitch. And yeah, they're still doing some stuff here and there. They add more, you know, little things here and there. But I can't remember the last time we had a big announcement from Twitch where people were excited about it, you know? Recently, all it's been is like, hey, we've got these new features that might stop you getting a DMCA, but maybe not. But like, we haven't seen any big announcements, any big moves from Twitch for a while. And that's what we need to be seeing over the next few years to make sure they do keep on top in terms of live stream.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't know what that is. You know, you can look back historically and maybe look at some, you know, lower latency streaming, like sort of what Mixer had, if that's something that's even possible for Twitch to do. Because I know I'm aware Mixer had that because they had a much smaller user base and it was a bit easier for them to do. There needs to be something, and I don't know. It's like trying to think of what's an invention I can make. I don't know, but like, I'm sure that if they don't start to innovate like that, then they're gonna suffer overall. I'm seeing more and more people make this switch over to YouTube, and it's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's Twitch has had a lot of issues recently, as we know, with the DMCA situation, and they were not prepared. They should have been, and they weren't, and that's why I was so mad at Twitch a few months ago, because, you know, we all saw this coming. How did they not see this coming?
I mean, we said on the podcast, what, like a year ago it was going to happen?
Yeah. They should have seen it coming, and they should have been more prepared. Very obviously.
Which is kind of the story of Twitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, very obviously, and I don't want to shit on Twitch. I love Twitch. This is where I've been for years, right? But they very clearly, when they got hit with DMCAs and they got all these things in, they panicked and they scrambled and they did their best to just put a Band-Aid over it as quick as they could. Anything. And arguably, they still don't have a good solution for people, right? And it kind of is now, and I understand, because it is down to the individual to make sure that their stream is safe and is not going to get hit with any copyright claims or anything like that. It is down to you, absolutely. But Twitch, for their own sake, needed to make sure that they had something in place. I'm amazed it took as long as it did for all this to start coming out. But I mean, I still see, I mean, on the Twitch Reddit, just today I got an alert saying there was a post trending where someone was saying, why is it that I'm going into all these big streamers chats and they're still just playing music like normal? It's like people have just forgotten. I said this before. We got a wave of DMCAs in 2019 and everyone was outraged about it. And that's when I switched over to like, all copyright safe stuff. And then a year later, we got hit with another wave of DMCAs and everyone freaked out again. And I was like, did everyone just forget the first time this happened?
I'll give you like a situation that was kind of explained to me, and it really does hit home. If you are like a bank robber and you rob a bank, right? And then the police come around and say, if you do that again, we're going to arrest you. So you go, fuck these guys. You rob the exact same bank. The police will come around and say, if you do that again, we're going to arrest you. And it never happens. What incentive do you actually have to not rob that bank? You know it's illegal. You know that there is some serious legal repercussions. But if you're not
Cyber,
going to get arrested,
I completely understand what you're saying, and DM me the details. I'm hurting for some cash.
If you got a tip on a bank, I mean,
all the time. One of the biggest things for me with the huge streamers, it's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. Give me a DMCA. What's the worst that's gonna happen? I like going.
I mean, you lock your platform. I mean, you
but
lose your account.
It still hasn't happened, and that's their mindset. It's like all of this like repercussions, and if you do this, you're gonna get banned. It still hasn't happened yet.
It's gonna happen though. It's I think our RIAA and other like industry figureheads that are issuing these DMCA claims are going to the claims are coming faster. They're coming with more volume. They're coming almost instantly in some cases. Like, the fact that like some people are getting hit with a claim hours after they, release a piece of content out there. I think that as the technology continues to improve, there is and once basically like these companies have not perfected but vastly improved the means of identification for flagging outlying or offending clips or videos or content creators. I think once there is another jump in like innovating on how to like make those claims more instantaneous and also like streamline the legal like ramification side of it, then I think we're just on the cusp. It just hasn't happened yet. But like we already know that like being identified and flagged for something can happen like within seconds, if not hours, of it taking place. So the question of it being, legal action happening to that creator or to that streamer, I think, they're shrugging it off now, but it's only a matter of time. Technology, we didn't have these problems before, but then the bots and the algorithms just got advanced enough that they could identify these things so rapidly because they're scrubbing the content so fast to find it.
Yeah,
I just think it would be naive to assume that you're not going to get caught.
For sure. The way I think about it is that it's a rule of 3. You get 3 DMCAs, you're out, right? Permanently banned. If I'm not wrong, that's the kind of rule to it.
Yeah.
So the way I think about it is like currently right now I have 0 points on my license, my driver's license. Right? In the UK, if you have a tire that is that's worn out to a certain point, you can get 3 points on your license. But the thing is, you get 3 points per tire, right? So maybe I've got 0 points on my license, but all 4 of my tires are bare, right? That's not the case. But if it was, if I was to get pulled over, I could go from 0 points to 12 points and lose my license immediately if all 4 tires are bare, right? So it's not like, oh, I'll wait till I get 3 points and then I'll switch to get another tire. DMCA is the same. You can have 0 claims, but then in one stream, you get 3 DMCAs, which is entirely possible. If you're streaming for 8 hours and you have a playlist going, you get 3 DMCAs, you're banned. You're gone. No second chance,
And we've already seen that people who have content that's archived on the platform, if they have clips or if they have anything that like is getting flagged, you could be flagged for like 10 things that happened a year ago, and get slammed all at once. So it doesn't even need to be like in one stream, like we're to your point, Condi, it's not only even just what you are currently producing this week, it's the things that you've been producing for years.
Yeah. Which is why we had to delete all our clips, and it's why, admittedly, Twitch did bring in better tools to clear that. But obviously, I'm not super happy with their answer of just delete everything. The last 4 years I've spent on this platform just gone. It sucked. But anyway, to move it on to just one final thing before we wrap up, because I mean, DMCA is our favorite topic here, as we know. But we mentioned briefly about how Twitch announced a few weeks ago that they were targeting bots and accounts that were breaking TOS with Twitch. And I think I mentioned how a bunch of the follow bots that I got hit with were removed. Yep. Well, I'm proud to announce that over that week I lost about 1,000 followers. Which got purged. And I gotta say, like, as much as it's good, right, I'm glad to see those follow bots gone. I also have a feeling they were maybe removing old inactive accounts too, because I know roughly how many follow bots I got. Obviously, maybe some were just bots anyway, but it was about 1,000 follows that came off my account. But I could see them dropping off live, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Every time I'd go to my dashboard for something, I'd be down a few more, and I could see it happening in real time, just dropping off.
Giving you like real-time anxiety.
I was like, I know why
everybody?
this is happening. I can see it, but like, it totally, like, my Social Blade, not that I look at Social Blade, but this Social Blade thing is like, hey, here's your average monthly followers, and mine is in the negatives.
Minus
Which is
6,000.
funny. But yeah, it seems to have stopped. It seems to have stabilized, which hopefully means that all the fake accounts are gone from my channel now, which means I can go back to actually being excited about hitting milestones, etc. But yeah, like that was a lot of accounts dropped. Like I say, about roughly 1,000 disappeared.
I just checked mine. It's kind of making me shit myself.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing to get rid of those fake follows. It's I know there are tools you can use to remove fake follows yourself. I've always been a bit scared since we know about Pigeon and what happened to him, where a friend of the show deleted all of his followers from his account. But yeah, the follow bots being removed is a good thing. I'm glad Twitch is doing it. I would love to see them do something about the wannabe famous bots, because they're still rampant everywhere all the time. But yeah, I just kind of wondered how badly that hit you guys as well, and to see if you guys noticed much difference.
Just checked it.
Yeah.
And it looks like through the week I lost like 5 and then gained 5 back, and it's like it just went kind of like blip, 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 blip. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I mean, I remember when I was playing Red Dead 2 a long time ago, I got hit with like 50 followers, and in the moment I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Oh my god, thanks guys, how's it going?" and all that. And then afterwards I was like, "What those bots?" But
Yeah.
it hasn't dropped off yet. So I don't.
Well, we
I
talked
mean-
about it before about how you shouldn't be too worried about the follower count, and once you get past affiliate, it's kind of irrelevant anyway. Like, we did discuss it, but I just thought, as Scott mentions in chat, to some people it will bother them and it'll make them feel bad. And certainly a few years ago, losing followers made me feel bad. I mean, having an 8-hour stream and then ending with less followers than you started with is not a good feeling. But like I say, you kind of, at a certain point, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Connie, at this point, I'm almost considering deleting all of my followers just so that I can hit partner.
Yeah, just
That's,
delete, oh,
you
no.
know.
But yeah, it's I just thought it was interesting to see that certainly from my end, and again, obviously I've been on Twitch I think a lot longer than most of you guys, so I probably have a lot more fake followers sitting in that account, that number there, which is why maybe so many dropped off of mine. But I'm just glad it stopped before
in a
it hit
way,
0.
as you point that out, that actually makes a lot of sense, because if you think about it, being on the platform longer means that there's more time that has been spent without these kinds of moderation tools, because Twitch, these companies get better and better at weeding out, like fake accounts and dupe accounts and smurfs and all that stuff. And like the system is only getting better at identifying it, but it's only going to be able to identify stuff retroactively after it's happened.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you've been on the platform longer than these tools have been, and so yeah, I
That's
think
not
that
a
you've
good
probably
way to
seen
reference us.
yeah, you're all a bunch of tools.
Damn.
I think that, like, you're probably right. I think that you've seen a bigger hit than most, or anyone who's been around longer and is more established has seen a bigger hit, simply because those things piled up over time.
Yeah.
Those, those dummy accounts, those bot accounts, those inactive accounts, and the moderation tools now are probably going to be culling them faster and faster, so that, like, newer people to the platform are going to see a more true or accurate number, and you will probably see a truer and more accurate number going forward.
Yeah.
So it's like it's got to be frustrating, I'm sure, because it's like you're being unfairly and disproportionately affected simply by proxy of having been more established, and been around longer. But
Like I say,
um,
I really, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm relieved to know that, to feel like, hey, all those fake ones are kind of gone. But, looking at that graph and just seeing the, on this day you gained 1 follower, on this day you gained 3, on this day you lost 400. Like, but I just wanted to put a reminder out there, like, if you saw a big dip in your follower count or whatever, Twitch is doing a purge on it all, and particularly if you've been on the site a long time. I believe they may have just been clearing out inactive accounts at the same time, because why wouldn't you? It makes sense, I suppose. Just get rid of some old, dead accounts that aren't being used. But who knows, really? I just I thought it was important to mention it, because, like I say, at least on my channel, it appears to have stopped for now. It didn't go all the way down to 0, which I was very glad to see. So there are at least some real people there. Anyway, this has been a long one this week, and I did not even really realize I've just been on my soapbox chatting away. Cyber, where can everyone find you, and what have you got coming up this week?
You can find me on all major platforms on Holy Cyber. I was gonna have a chill night and watch some Mortal Kombat 2, but my wife's been trying to get me drunk for the past 2 hours, so it's gonna be a good night. This
Do
week,
not try to rob that bank drunk, okay?
I mean, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, wait for us.
wait for help.
This week, Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to be playing some Tarkov on stream. We played with Bella, who we all kind of know. She killed our teammate, which was absolutely hilarious. So I'm making that into a YouTube video.
Nice. Good to see you again on the YouTube side of it.
Yep. I said that I was going to make a lot of YouTube videos, and I've made one in the last year. So
you
really
also
need to
said
get
that
on
you'd
that.
like made a bunch of them, and you were just waiting to post them, and then I was sitting there waiting, and no videos came.
I'm my biggest critic. Let me put it that way. And I was like, no,
I know
it's not
you
good
are.
enough.
You just gotta upload. You just gotta do it. Grog, where can everyone find you, and what have you got going on to plug this week?
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/grogmode. You can find me on other platforms at gamer_grog. I stream 5 days a week. Monday through Thursday, it's just me. And then on Saturdays, I do a co-stream with my wife. Arcade Riot. This week, we're going to actually be moving. So we've been flip-flopping between, like, horror game, compelling, narrative game, horror game, compelling narrative game. Before we did Song of Horror, we did Last Campfire, which I cannot recommend enough. That game was fucking outstanding. And then now that we finished Song of Horror, we're going to go on and play Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then after that, we'll do another horror game, and then probably after that, It Takes Two. We'll tackle that. So that's kind of like our rhythm right now. But yeah, if you enjoy watching Apex, or fuck it, I might even just stream some No Man's Sky soon, or Rocket League, or whatever. You can find me Monday through Thursday.
Hell yeah.
Streaming live.
Eve, what about yourself?
Yeah, you can find me Metabot Eve everywhere. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Final Fantasy 14. Fridays are Danganronpa, and then once I finish that, Danganronpa 3. And Saturdays are just going to be retro days. So, or Pokemon Snap when that comes out, and that's not going to be retro, but you know what I mean.
It's retro enough.
Yeah.
And in 5 minutes, we're leaving to go to the aquarium.
Nice.
Oh shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel bad that I've kept the podcast running so late today.
Conde, how about yourself? What are you doing this week?
Thank you. I don't really know, to be quite frank. Yeah, like I mentioned, I've got a lot of overtime coming up this week.
Fuck was that? We need to talk about what the fuck just happened.
What happened?
You were like, I don't really know, and then you just kept on speaking normally. What the fuck?
He had to pass the kidney stone while he was
Yeah.
talking.
God damn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and get on stream as much as I can. I'm gonna be opening more Pokemon cards tomorrow probably because I'm addicted.
You're addicted. Jinx.
I am. Yep. But yeah, I don't have too much planned. I've got some YouTube stuff that will be coming out soon. I'm gonna do. I finished finally the saga of the head-to-head versus Grog videos, so that is out. So I'm now available to challenge Eve. I'm gonna take her down, make her tweet.
But
that I'm
you're gonna
5'9".
get shit on, kid.
We'll
Who
see.
won?
Grog won the first head-to-head. It was close though. I put up a good fight. So
I've watched the video. Mm-mm.
it was close. It was close.
Eh.
It all came down to
Eh.
the final Rocket League round. It was close. I beat him in the wiki race. Anyway, this is besides the point. I'm going to be, Eve and I are going to be going head to head on some weird and wonderful games, probably the week after next when I find time. And yeah, that's about it. That is about it. Like I say, I actually did film a video with Eve as well, which I'm going to try and get out maybe like Wednesday, which wasn't recorded live on stream. So it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a mystery what it is, but I think people will like it, hopefully.
An exclusive.
Yeah. More importantly, the podcast. Thank you very much for watching or listening. If you have been listening on any of the audio platforms, we do this live on Twitch every Sunday. Twitch.tv/ZeroStrategyPodcast. The link will be in the show notes down below. If you're watching it live on Twitch and you think you maybe got some value out of this somehow, I mean, we didn't have Humps distracting us this week, so that was a little
Thank
bit better.
fuck for that.
But if you maybe think that this could be any value to you, we have all our old episodes up on Spotify. We are trying to catch up with the YouTube side of things. But if you go to Spotify and search Zero Strategy, you're going to find roughly 50, 51, 52 previous episodes, all titled. If there's a particular topic that you're interested in regarding content creation or anything like that, feel free to go and check those out. We also have a Discord for the community where you can come in and ask questions, get some advice, get some feedback, whatever you need.
Think something's happening next week?
I believe I haven't ran this by you guys yet, but I maybe invite a guest next week that that I have set up. So we should have a guest next week, but I will let you know. That's not 100% confirmed, but we'll find out. Anyway, we are going to go and pass the raid on to someone. So please feel free to stick around for that. Thank you guys very, very much for hanging out and listening. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Bye.
Sharks or fish?